Good afternoon. I'm Sackett Wood, the CEO of Moore Giles.
I'd like to introduce my next guest, Sackett Wood, CEO of Moore Giles. Sackett, would you please share the story behind Moore Giles, as well as your own personal journey and how you got here today?
Happy to, Farshid. Again, thanks for having me here. Um, Moore Giles was a company born in the Depression in 1933. We come from an old footwear town in Lynchburg, Virginia, and we're surrounded by 14 factories. We were the largest or the second largest domestic producer of footwear in the country 100 years ago. And the owner, Mr. Moore, was laid off at one of the factories in 1933 and started the company as a finder of footwear materials that we sold anything for the next 55 years that went into a shoe. So that would be glue, nails, thread, laces, counters, heels, bottoms, polyurethane, leather, shoe boxes. And then, as we all know, the shoe business sort of vacated to Brazil and to China. The factories around here in the East Coast um, closed down. And so I was coming out of 3 years of banking after college and ran into Don Giles, who I'd known growing up. And he said Moore Giles was a six-man operation at the time, and really said that the company really had to evolve and change, and we were going to get into upholstery leather. And that, I didn't really like banking and wanted to try something different. And so here I am 34 years later, and it's been a great decision. So that's my journey here. So we really started off into inexpensive upholstery leather, and really realized after about 3 or 4 years that that was a race to the bottom, and the bigger players were going to sort of put us out. So we were selling people who were doing Levitt's bankrupt, Montgomery Ward bankrupt, Sears bankrupt, and we realized we needed to move on. And so we took our inspiration from ready-to-wear footwear, handbags, accessories, where the material was a little more elevated. It was a little cold and sterile and upholstery at the time, and came out with what we call a natural leather, where it was very visual, tactile, very, very instantly recognizable as leather. Very controversial and unconventional at the time. Had a big market with it in the mid '90s, and we still sell that leather today. Put us on a path to take that approach to, um, you know, really a fashion approach to the upholstery leather business, to pay attention to color and texture and understand really how leather could integrate into the web of good design in a way that it wasn't, how it could act cohesively with other materials like paint and wall covering and fabric in a design scheme. And so naturalness with the boutique hotel coming out and the look of home at your hotel, that resonated with these leathers. And then color. Color changed our life. Leather was historically black, brown, burgundy, navy, bone, and hunter green. And now we have all kinds of jewel tones and other types of colors, and have color lines that have 50 and 60 and 70 colors in them. And that makes leather a more relevant material for designers.
And you spoke about designers. Let's dig into a little bit. What type of projects do you guys get installed for?
We're really about creating access to the material across a broad range of markets. So we sell high-end furniture manufacturers in, Hickory, North Carolina, and Southern California. We sell architects and designers for hospitality design, also high-end residential design. We have a private aviation division, like a Gulfstream or a NetJets, someone like that. And then we sell the automotive restoration business for the people who are rebuilding a 1959 Chevy or whatever it is, and we'll really invest a lot in taking these cars to market and putting great things in them. And then we have a lifestyle line of our own bags, accessories, and furniture that we started in 2007. That is a big part of the future for us as well. So we want a big, large manufacturer who buys 10,000 feet a week. But if there's a designer in Peoria who needs one hide to cover his or her client's dining room chairs, we're just as interested in that business. And really, that's where the residential designer comes in. And that is, they're really the new gatekeeper for the younger generation. And how we can capture those designers is something that we're constantly working on.
It's an incredible story. First of all, not just for the company itself, Moore and Giles, but your 34-year journey as well is so interesting to me. Now, you started with us in 2018. We didn't even have our first full year in 20 until 2019. So I want to thank you as a founding partner for supporting and believing in us in that early stage. Now you've seen 5 full fiscal years, we'll talk about, of not only leads, but ultimately of success. I'd love for you to just share with us how we have changed your business in A&D and what it looks like on the inside after a lead has been received.
I would start out by saying I'm proud that the company was an early adopter. I would also say that I was very skeptical of it, and you and Adam made a very compelling, sales pitch for us. And anything is as good as what you're willing to invest in it. And you can't just say I'm doing material bank and send your samples in there and you know expect great things to happen. You've got to really educate your sales force about it, and really try and integrate it into your company so that it's a core strategy of your overall business model. And in preparation for this, I just sort of took the temperature of some of the key territories and how it was working for them. And they really cannot imagine not having material bank. I mean, I think that the immediate appeal was just this was not going to be a singular strategy for us. I mean, we were going to do our sampling here, and then we were also going to supplement that with our decision to work with material bank. Um, and so that was just the idea that we could someone in Los Angeles could get samples late into the evening for the next day. I mean, that was very, very compelling for them. But now it's going from this supplemental sampling effort to it's a revenue driver for us. And I think if we took it away, there'd be uproar. And then we get the leads. We get the leads every day. I mean, 539 new leads in the last 90 days. I mean, that's a lot. We take those and we get those out to the right territories. Then it's our job to follow up and make sure we're doing them. So um, the other thing is that of the many many blessings of COVID, uh, I think made Material Bank more relevant than ever because you know a lot of designers are remote now and don't have access to their libraries and are able to utilize this as a sales tool for them. And that's a game changer.
Thank you so much for those kind words, Sackett. Those are great. Thank you. Now, as a former banker, we'll call you recovering banker for this. You are a capital allocator and you are making decisions into where to invest for the future. Where else do you go for leads? Where else do you find success? And then how do you rank Material Bank if you're going after the A&D community versus those other avenues that you invest in?
So we go we stopped doing trade shows during COVID and we eased back into it. Now we're doing trade shows every month, and certainly that's a lead generator for us. We follow up on that. We're also old school, and get in the car and go down to Hickory and find the next up and coming new manufacturer. Word of mouth referrals we get. But I would rank Material Bank is probably, especially in our hospitality division, is probably the single most important generator of leads that we have right now. Well, we do a lot ourselves, but um, especially I think one of the real advantages of this is we get to some of these projects via Material Bank early in schematic. So just as these projects are starting, so that allows us to really get in and be a collaborator early on. A lot of our salespeople were former designers, and so they really understand how to get in there and work on these projects in the early stages. And then we're there instead of arriving a little bit too late to the dance sometimes and trying to switch things out and substitute and things like that. So I think it gives us a better seat at the table, especially on the big projects early on.
Makes tremendous sense. The data sets start all the way from that concept design phase all the way through to specification, even reselection. And what you're describing is the fact that you can get involved at that earlier phase where you're adding value by getting involved in the design process. Tell us about some of the success stories that you've had. If you could list some projects for the community.
So I looked back just in the last 90 days, and I'm not going to do specifics, but I sort of picked two key territories, and it's stadium projects, big stadium project, two casinos, three restaurants, 4 to 5, 6 hotels, and this is just out of two territories. So I think once uh, look at all of them, and it just starts to add up. Doesn't mean we're getting an order for everyone. That means we're specified. That means we're in play. That means we're working and following up. And until you get an order, it doesn't matter. But it allows us to have more lines in the water and following up. And it's a game of probability at that point. The more irons you have in the fire, the better chance you have. And so this gives us a lot more irons in the fire.
That is remarkable. In just the last 90 days, and you looked in two territories. Those are massive projects. You don't have to hit very many of those, which I think answers the next question. If I would ask, how do you feel about the ROI on Material Bank? What would you say to another brand? Let's not bring a competitor. Let's just say another brand contacted you and said, I want to do a reference check. I understand you've been on Material Bank since 2018. Tell me the good, bad, and ugly. Tell me how ROI is. What would you say?
I would say, like anything, I think for the first few years, we sort of put it out there and expected it to work on its own, and did the I would just say we did the bare minimum, and then because we are investing in it, and when you invest in something, you've got to put the resources in there uh, to support it, and I think once we started doing that, and once we got at the end of the day, the sales force has to be comfortable and understand it. And I think once they're on board, then things change. I mean, you know, I talked to one salesperson last week who said, I finish every presentation with, and remember, we're on Material Bank. If you need us and you can't get us, find us there. And a lot of the younger designers, the light bulb goes off and says, thank you. Good to know that. We love Material Bank.
Tell us a little bit in terms of the sustainability story. I think there's a misperception about leather and sustainability. Please let this audience who always are interested in this topic learn a little bit about your own initiatives.
The hide starts off as someone else's trash. And we are completely controlled by the global demand for beef around the world. There's over 300 million hides that are available annually on a global basis. Sadly, only 60% of them make it to the value chain. So this is a renewable resource. To make something useful out of waste material is a definition of recycle. The prevention of a wasteful use of a resource is a definition of conservation. And the fact that 70% of the planet eats meat, let's just say that goes to 35%, which it won't. These hides are available, and the tanners really reside at the end of the food chain and pick these hides off the doorstep of the world every day and make functional, lasting luxury out of a waste material. And so our purpose statement says that we believe in creating a purpose and a use for every hide on earth, never to be attainable, but always something we can strive for. Because there is value in every hide, and to do nothing with them would be irresponsible. And I think if leather had never been invented, that someone would go into a landfill and say, "Gosh, can't we do something with this?" So, the easy thing to do is throw the hides away. The hard thing to do is make leather out of them. And so, what I would also want this audience to know is that the modern tanner is a highly compliant, responsible steward to his community, steward to his environment, and very transparent, committed to continuous improvement. There are all kinds of new tannages coming out right now, some of which are on Material Bank, olive tanning being one of them, through Olive and Leader out of Germany, that are looking, to the future.
On behalf of the entire team at Material Bank, I want to thank you, Sackett, for supporting us in beta, day one, when we were getting started, and for being here this entire time. Anytime we can be of help, please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you again.